Hola Bafetu, it is your big homie Palo. Aribwenga business Spani Bafetu. Today we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is the act of feeling or acting inadequate in a service that you're providing, basically feeling like a fraud in whatever you're doing. So an example would be someone who's a singer and they have a lot of their music being pushed all over the show, and people are loving their music. It's a sing-along and everything, but the person feels like they were just lucky. They ignore their talent and hard work, but they just feel like, you know what, I was lucky. This is very common, especially in the workplace. Also in businesses, you do have some people who might be selling a product, but they feel like their product is not up to standard and whatnot. But it's more common in the workplace where we have hierarchies. Imposter syndrome is the feeling of being a fraud in what you're doing. What triggers imposter syndrome? A lot of people are perfectionists when it comes to their work, and in situations like those, someone might try to work on something and ensure that it comes out perfectly, right? And when it doesn't, this person feels like they are not enough, they are inadequate with their work, and that is a problem. Another trigger would be comparing yourself to others. As people, guys, we all know that we have different aptitudes, we have different levels of IQs, and if you try to compare yourself to someone who might have more experience than you, then you're gonna end up finding yourself feeling like, I'm getting paid but for nothing, whereas it shouldn't be that way. Everyone is supposed to learn. It takes time to learn things. When you compare yourself to others, you're actually putting yourself in a position where you might find yourself feeling inadequate, and that's one trigger which is more common than the others. Another trigger would be past failures. So if you failed before in doing something and you're doing it again, that fear might still be there where, if I make this mistake again, or because I made that mistake I got into trouble, and maybe I'm not supposed to be working like this. You put yourself in a position that you'll end up feeling like an imposter, feeling like a fraud, and you should, guys, when these things happen and when these feelings come about, you need to see and identify that, damn, this is just me, overthinking things. And usually if you overthink, you don't become as productive as you should be. So watch out for that. Another trigger would be a new role, or it could be if you're changing companies or if you've been promoted. So one might be asking themselves, what are the mental implications that imposter syndrome might have on them? And usually it might result in anxiety. It might result in a burnout, because you'll be pushing harder than you're supposed to be pushing, thinking that you'll seem more competent to others, right? Another thing is that your productivity will also drop. It also causes stress. This in turn then sort of affects your physical health. The mental implications have to do mostly with stress and physical well-being, because your mental health affects your physical health. For you to reduce the feeling of imposter syndrome, first understand and talk to your peers and whoever, right, just to get some intel. Don't fully take what is being said as gospel, but just hear some insights. You might hear things that you weren't aware of, right? And that'll sort of help you to mentally know that you are having imposter syndrome, because the whole point of this also is to sort of assist you in identifying when it happens to you. When you feel like you're an imposter or a fraud, you need to know whether you are or not. And for that to happen, you need to look at your career from where you were and where you are right now. There's always an improvement, and you need to remember that I've made these improvements and this is where I am, right? No one learns like a machine. What's that guy's name from Suits? Mike Ross from Suits. So no one has a mind like that. We all learn at different paces. So don't expect that you'll learn so quickly and you'll be this highly competent person that knows everything in a short space of time. Everything takes time, and know that after some time, with the right amount of effort, you'll get to where you need to get to. How do you combat imposter syndrome? Firstly, you need to practice self-compassion, right? Self-compassion and self-pity are two things. Don't feel sorry for yourself all the time. Oh my gosh. No. Have a little bit of self-compassion and understand that you are not Einstein. You're not some form of genius who grasps everything quickly and at a quick pace. No, right? Acknowledge all of the factors that are causing you to feel how you're feeling. Sometimes you might actually be incompetent. You need to get feedback, a lot of feedback. Whether you're getting positive feedback or negative feedback, understand that there might be some truths in it. There might be some fictitious information just to make you feel a certain way. You need to identify that as to, when I'm talking to someone, is this person trying to appeal to my emotions, or are they just being practical, right? Look at that. Understand when you're getting feedback from others that what this person is saying, I need to improve. Take your work, take their word into consideration, but mostly take facts into consideration. And it's very important to build a supportive network. Build a supportive network amongst everyone so that you sort of have that motivation to keep pushing and motivation to move out of the anxiety that you've had. It's also very important to acknowledge your accomplishments. It's one of the keys to moving your headspace away from the whole imposter syndrome thing. Guys, you know how teaching is also learning? You remember when you were in high school and maybe a maths or science teacher is teaching you guys something, and then while they're teaching you, they just pick something up like, oh, so this is how this works. It's a teacher who's teaching people, but they've also learned something. By teaching people what you know, it also helps you to learn more and feel more competent with what you're doing. It's very important, guys. Teaching helps you learn, and by doing that, you allow yourself to avoid imposter syndrome. You become more competent, you feel more competent, you actually become more confident in what you're doing. Give support to others, give positive feedback to others, show some inclusivity in what you're doing, right? And it'll also expose what you might not know. And when that happens, you're stepping away from this whole imposter syndrome thing. Alright guys, to close it off, knowledge is a powerful weapon. Arm yourself. Thanks for watching.